Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. 8. To consider chanting of Hare Krishna to be one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are to be offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10. To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also to be offensive. It is also an offensive to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success of Krishna Prema. Once again, I thank all of you, everyone, for joining the Bhakti Sangha conference call today. Let us move to our next session, which is Srimad Bhagavatam class. May I know who all have joined the call this morning?
हरे कृष्ण पद्मा माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरु महाराज की जय। प्रीति दासी from Charlotte. हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna, Priti Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Arvind Das from Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Arvindaksh Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Padma Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharajas, and all glories to the assembled devotees. This is Tiffany in Pennsylvania. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Tiffany Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, and all glories to assembled devotees. This is Radha from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Radha Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। Sorry, go ahead माता जी।
No, go ahead.
हरे कृष्ण माता जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to the assembled devotees. Yashomati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashomati Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumar Devidasi from Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada Salavadev ki jai, Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, the Gupta Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to assembled devotee. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the assembled devotees. This is Indulekha Karuna Devi Dasi from Lincoln.
Hare Krishna, Indulekha Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Is there anybody who would like to introduce themselves? Okay, welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are fortunate to have His Grace Vamsi Prabhuji for enlightening us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, 20th chapter and 18 to 22 verses. And I would like to hand over the call to Tiffany Mataji to give a brief introduction about Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Mataji, please take over the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Today, we're welcoming His Grace Vamsi Das. He is an initiated disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He has been working on the topic of Vedic cosmology, Surya Siddhanta, since 2006 under the guidance of His Holiness Dhanavir Goswami Maharaj. He has a bachelor's in electrical engineering from the Indian Institute of Technology in Bombay, a PhD in biomedical engineering from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and a Bhakti Shastri degree from the Bhaktivedanta Academy for Culture and Education, Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Temple in Mumbai, India. His research on Vedic cosmology, analyzing similarities between Surya Siddhanta and Srimad Bhagavatam, has been published in the book Bhugola, forgive me, Bhugola Tattva. Hare Krishna Prabhu, welcome to the call. So lovely to have you with us today.
Thank you very much, Mataji, for the introduction, and thank you to all devotees for the opportunity to speak on this topic. It was a short notice for me. I just came to know yesterday afternoon, so I tried to put together some slides. Hopefully, we will do some justice to this topic. Given that it was a short notice, I could only include things which I have been working on. So can I share my screen?
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Please, Prabhu, sure. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much.
Can you see my screen?
Not, yes, Prabhu. We can see your screen.
Okay, we can start with the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 20, Text 18. Tatha gritodat bahihi kraunchadvipo dvigunaha swamanena kshirodena parita upaklipto vrito yatha kushadvipo gritodena yasmin krauncho nama parvata rajo dvipanama nirvartaka aste tatha. So also Ghrita Udat, from the ocean of clarified butter, Bahihi, outside, Krauncha Dvipaha, another island known as Krauncha Dvipa, Dvigunaha, twice as big, Swamanena, as the same measurement, Kshira Udena, by an ocean of milk, Paritaha, all around, Upakliptaha, surrounded, Vritaha, surrounded, Yatha, like, Kushadvipaha, the island known as Kushadvipa, Grita Udena, by an ocean of clarified butter, Yasmin, in which Kraunchaha Nama, named Krauncha, Parvata Rajaha, a king of mountains, Dvipa Nama, the name of the island, Nivartakaha, bringing about, Aste exists. Outside the ocean of clarified butter is another island known as Kraunchadvipa, which has a width of 1,600,000 yojanas, twice the width of the ocean of clarified butter. As Kushadvipa is surrounded by an ocean of clarified butter, Kraunchadvipa is surrounded by an ocean of milk, as broad as the island itself. On Kraunchadvipa, there is a great mountain known as Krauncha, from which the island takes its name. For the other verses, I'll just read the translation. Although the vegetables living on the slopes of Mount Krauncha were attacked and devastated by the weapons of Kartikeya, the mountain has become fearless because it is always bathed on all sides by the ocean of milk and protected by Varunadeva. The ruler of this island was another son of Maharaj Priyavrata. His name was Ghritaprishta, and he was a very learned scholar. He also divided his own island among his 7 sons. After dividing the island into 7 parts, named according to the names of his sons, Ghritaprishta Maharaja completely retired from family life and took shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, the soul of all souls, who has all auspicious qualities. Thus he attained perfection. The sons of Maharaj Ghritaprishta were named Ama, Maduruha, Meghaprishta, Sudhama, Brajishta, Lohitarna, and Vanaspati. In their island, there are 7 mountains which indicate the boundaries of the 7 tracts of land, and there are also 7 rivers. The mountains are named Shukla, Vardhamana, Bhojana, Upabarhina, Nanda, Nandana, and Sarvatobhadra. The rivers are named Abhaya, Amritogha, Aryaka, Tirthavati, Rupavati, Pavitravati, and Shukla. The inhabitants of Kraunchadvipa are divided into 4 castes, called the Purushas, Rishabhas, Dravinas, and Devakas. Using the waters of those sanctified rivers, they worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead by offering a palmful of water at the lotus feet of Varuna, the demigod who has a form of water. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura says, Apomayaha Asmayam. With the joined palms, the inhabitants of the various sections of Kraunchadvipa offer the sanctified waters of the rivers to a deity made of stone or iron. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Before I proceed, can all of you hear my?
Yes,
Hear
Prabhu,
me?
we can
Yes,
hear you, Prabhu. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, nice. So I checked in the commentaries by acharyas other than the purports we have from Srila Prabhupada. What is there on these verses? There are some additional comments by the acharyas, but not much is there. So I thought I'll also cover two of the topics which will come up soon in this chapter. And those of you who are following the Vedic cosmology topic might be aware that there is some confusion or confusion about what Srimad Bhagavatam is saying and what Surya Siddhanta is saying. And it appears that the values that are there in Srimad Bhagavatam are different from the values of Surya Siddhanta. Like we have around, if we take the distance from the center of Mary to the center of Manasottara mountain, on top of which the sun moves, the distance is around 15 million yojanas. And then in Surya Siddhanta, there is a different value given for the Kaksha of the sun. And again, we have the dimensions of the universe from Bhagavatam 20.43 as 25 crore yojanas. And then in Surya Siddhanta, there is a Akasha Kaksha value, which is much, much bigger. So there is always this confusion, or is there a contradiction between scriptures? This is something which I have been working on. So I thought I'll also cover these two topics that may come up in the future, but because there is not much on these 18 to 22 verses, I thought I'll include them as well. So regarding the 18th, so there is no additional information other than what Prabhupada has given. There is some explanation about what the Sanskrit word upaklipta means. It means surrounded by. And then Shirodena, by ocean of milk. So it's the information is similar. It's that there is this Krauncha Dvipa, which is of 1,600,000 yojanas, which is twice the breadth of the ocean of clarified butter. And then the Krauncha Dvipa is surrounded by an ocean of milk. The name of the Krauncha Dvipa, the Krauncha Dvipa name, it gets from a mountain that is there in that Dvipa, which has name Krauncha. The Sanskrit dictionary meaning for Krauncha is similar to a heron. So the dictionary meaning Krauncha means a heron, or in a Karulu, something like that. So that is something which we have from the Acharya's commentaries on 18. On 19, which says, although the vegetables living on the slopes of Mount Krauncha were attacked and devastated by the weapons of Kartikeya, the mountain has become fearless because it is always bathed on all sides by the ocean of milk and protected by Varunadeva. So one information we have from the Acharya's commentaries is that why was this attacked by Skanda, or the son of Lord Shiva? It was attacked during a fight that was happening to kill Tarakasura. So that is there from the commentaries of Acharyas, one additional information. Other than that, most of the things are similar to what is there in the translation of Prabhupada. And then for 20, we see that the island is divided into 7 parts. So the Krauncha Dvipa is there. The island has a king who is the son of Priyavrata, and he again has 7 sons. So he divided that land into 7 parts. and which are named after the 7 sons. And he himself retired and worshipped Lord to get freedom from material bondage. So yeah, it's the information is similar. The comments of the acharyas are similar. Then for 21, the names of the sons are there. And then for the word Bhagavan, acharyas have given commentary that the word Bhagavan, we all know it's one who has the knowledge of creation, also has the 6 opulences. And then it's just the names of the 7 sons of 7 grandsons of Prevrata. The names of the mountains are there. The names of the rivers are also there. For 22, it's mentioning that there are 4 castes, and then these people worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of water or in as Varuna. So one additional information we see is that the 4 Varnas that are given here are Purushas, Rishabhas, Dravinas, and Devakas, and the Acharyas are commenting that these are they stand in place of terms Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, like that. So this is all that is there on this section by the 10 Acharyas commentaries we have. So it's not too much that that can be added there. So for that reason, I thought we will cover some additional topics that will come up in this chapter. And for those who have been following this topic might be aware of these differences, apparent differences to Surya Siddhanta. So I thought we'll cover this. I don't want to spoil your morning with too much of technical details, but this is some information which is important to understand, that the Vedic scriptures are not contradictory to each other. And it is important for us to accept that fact. And also, even though it is apparently not there, if we go in detail to the scriptures and see what is exactly stated there, then the apparent confusion goes away. So sometimes we use time for space and space for time, correct? For example, if I ask you how far is the temple from your home, you can say maybe 60 miles, or you can say, sometimes people say that it is 1 hour away from my house. So we tend to use time and space interchangeably, and sometimes we see this kind of interchangeable usage in the scriptures also, where time is used for space and space is used for time. And if we don't know, or if we don't go through all the verses and see what exactly and how exactly it is being used, it may give a confusion that the 2 scriptures are contradictory. So the main thing that I'll focus on today is on the Kaksha of sun given in Surya Siddhanta. The value is 4,331,500 yojanas. Sorry, it's a 500. The value, there is no yojana mentioned there. It's just given that the value is that much. And in Surya Siddhanta, as I mentioned, we have the distance of the sun from the center of Meru to center of the Mansutra mountain, which is or much bigger, like order of magnitude bigger than what this value is. So how does this value come about, and what this value is, I'll cover in little bit detail. Sorry. So we know that in a Chaturyuga, Chaturyuga is Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga together, correct? So in a Chaturyuga, there are 43,20,000 years, or 4,320,000 years. So those are the eastward revolutions of the sun in the zodiac. So all the planets rise in the east, set in the west. So these are called the westward revolutions of the planets, or the number of risings of the planets. So as we see from Earth, or in a frame of reference of the Earth, we also see the stars rising in the east and setting in the west. So stars' westward revolutions are faster. That means they complete more revolutions in a given time than the planets. So as we see from Earth, relative to the stars, the planets appear going eastwards. Bhagavatam explains this like the ants moving on a potter's wheel. So the wheel is going westward or in a clockwise direction, but the ants will appear also glowing in the eastward or anti-clockwise direction. So this relative motion of the planets with respect to the stars is called the eastward movement of the planets. So the sun completes 43,20,000 revolutions in a Chaturyuga. So if we use that number and compute how much time is there for one revolution, we all know there are approximately 365 days in a year. So that number comes out. So there are these many numbers, the number I am showing here, these many days in a Chaturyuga. And then if we divide the total number of days by total number of revolutions, we get the Earth days. And if we convert them into seconds and then into septaseconds, where each second is this value comes from Surya Siddhanta, we get the Kaksha value. I'll go through this a little bit slowly, but I just wanted to talk about all the planets, not just the sun. Here, that if you do this computation, you get exactly the Kaksha values that are mentioned in Surya Siddhanta. So the values mentioned in Surya Siddhanta, the Kaksha values, are the time for one eastward revolutions of the planet. They are given in a particular unit of time, and this number is indicating time. So to go to this discussion again in a little bit stepwise fashion and focusing on the sun, as I mentioned, there are 43,20,000 yojanas, 20,000 revolutions, eastward revolutions of the sun in a Chaturyuga. And if we take the number of westward revolutions of the nakshatras and subtract the eastward revolutions, we get the number of risings of the sun, or these are the earth days in a Chaturyuga. So if you divide the number of earth days in a Chaturyuga by the number of years in a Chaturyuga, we get the number of days that are there in a solar year. If we convert that into seconds and then into septaseconds, where one unit we are defining as 7.2858, we get this value, which is given as the Kaksha value in Surya Siddhanta. So the value that is there in Surya Siddhanta is indicating time for one eastward revolution. And the 15 million yojana distance that we have in Srimad Bhagavatam, this chapter 30 verse, is the horizontal distance of the sun from the center of Meru to the center of Manasotra mountain. So this is physical distance, talking about space, and Surya Siddhanta is talking about time. Without understanding what Surya Siddhanta is talking, if we just take the numbers and compare, Surya Siddhanta is giving a different number than Srimad Bhagavatam, it may appear contradictory. So how does this number come? Is the values are given in Surya Siddhanta. The value for a Kaksha is given in 12.86, for example. But before giving that value, Surya Siddhanta also talks about how to compute that value. So it says, divide the Akasha Kaksha value, which is again the same value which is sometimes compared with the 25 crore yojana diameter of the universe, the radius of the universe. But here we have to see how Surya Siddhanta is using that Akasha Kaksha. It is not using it as a distance, but as a time. So if you see how the Kaksha value of a particular planet is obtained, it is saying divide the Akasha Kaksha by the number of revolutions of the planet in a Kalpa. So total time that is there in a kalpa divided by the number of revolutions a planet makes in a kalpa gives time for one revolution of the planet. So that clearly indicates here that the value Akash Kaksha is supposed to be used as a time value and not as a distance value or for space. More information is there, like this is the exact value that is given. And another factor that we need to consider here is that we have different distances for the Sun, Mercury and Venus that are discussed. Vertical distances are discussed. We don't have the horizontal distance for Mercury and Venus, but at least the vertical distances above the Bhumandala are discussed. But in Surya Siddhanta, we see that the Kaksha value is not only given for the Sun, but Sun, Mercury and Venus is given the same value. Mercury and Venus, they have the same number of eastward revolutions in a Chaturyuga as that of Sun. So that is the reason why their Kakshas or time for one eastward revolution is same as that of the Sun. So this is another indication that the value that is given here is not a distance, but it is time, because Mercury and Venus also have the same number of eastward revolutions in a Chaturyuga. So on average, they also take the same amount of time as the Sun for completing one complete revolution in the zodiac. This is average value. Their individual values, local times are different, which are mentioned as Shigrocha values. We don't have to go into that discussion for now, but just to understand that Srimad Bhagavatam is giving vertical distances and giving separate values for Mercury and Venus, and Srimad Bhagavatam giving the same value for Sun, Mercury and Venus is an indication that this is talking about time and not distance. So coming back to the Akasha Kaksha, how do we know it is time and not distance, which should not be compared to the 25 crore radius value that is given in Srimad Bhagavatam? So here it is said that multiply the number of revolutions of the moon in a kalpa with the time moon takes to complete one eastward revolution. So if you multiply the total number of revolutions with the time for one revolution, you get the time taken for all the revolutions. And so the time taken for all the revolutions is the time for one kalpa. Because planets, the sun, moon, and all the other planets exist only for a duration of kalpa, 1 day of Brahma, 12 hours of Brahma. At the end of day of Brahma, the planets gets destroyed. So the sun exists distributing its light within the Brahmanda for only one kalpa. So the Akasha Kaksha value is indicating time, the total time duration of one kalpa, and not a physical distance. And again, here, this is the exact value that is given in Srimad, in Surya Siddhanta. Now, we can compute this value as well from both Surya Siddhanta and Srimad Bhagavatam, and know that and understand that this is value is time and not a distance. So as I mentioned earlier, there are 43,20,000 revolutions of the sun, eastward revolutions of the sun in a Chaturyuga. These are the westward revolutions of the stars. So there are these many earth days in a Chaturyuga. If you multiply that, the same value can be obtained from Srimad Bhagavatam as well. Srimad Bhagavatam also gives that there are 4 yugas, and adding each of the yugas duration, you get 43,20,000 years from Srimad Bhagavatam also. So this is same from Srimad Bhagavatam and Surya Siddhanta. Srimad Bhagavatam also mentions there are 1,000 Chaturyugas in a kalpa. Surya Siddhanta also states the same fact. So both say there are 1,000 Chaturyugas in a kalpa. So multiplying the number of days in a kalpa with the number of total number of Chaturyugas, we get the total number of days in a Chaturyuga, in a kalpa. So this is the total number of days in a kalpa, or the total time duration of a kalpa. you can mention that time duration in seconds, which will be this particular value you multiply by 24 hours, 60 minutes and 60 seconds, and then convert into the same septasecond unit, which we have used for the kakshas, the same value that we use, and that gives us this value. So the Akasha Kaksha value is not distance, but it is the total time the planets exist, which is the time duration of one kalpa. So to conclude, Akash Kaksha value from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Surya Siddhanta, is the total time duration of a kalpa for which the sun and other planets exist. The Kaksha value that we have from the for sun in Surya Siddhanta is time for one eastward revolution, which is same as 1 year. So sun, one eastward revolutions of the sun in the zodiac, we call it 1 year. So the 1 year mentioned in units of septaseconds gives the Kaksha value. And Srimad Bhagavatam in 5.20.30 and 5.20.43 is discussing space and distances. Surya Siddhanta in 12.81 and to 90 is discussing time. So once we understand one is discussing time and one is discussing space, we can see that there is no contradiction between Surya Siddhanta and Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, that's all I have for today. I know this might be shorter than your regular classes, but yeah, this is all I could prepare in such a short notice. Any comments or questions from devotees?
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for nicely narrating the difference between time and space of the kakshas and all, kaksha. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah, we will see if anybody has any questions. Let me see if there is any raising hands. Yeah, I see Sundari Gopi Mataji has a question. Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is kind of a little odd question, but I want to know how do you feel when you study this heavy subject? You know, for me, I'm like, oh my God, I can't understand. But how do you relate this part of the Bhagavatam close to your heart? Because it is certainly something that you relish. I mean, could you say something about your journey and how you long? Because it looks like you are really deep into it. Can you share something about how you started liking it and how you developed that?
I also should admit that it is not like something which I love doing these numbers. It's something which is needs to be done because we see, for especially this service was given to few of us by Danvir Maharaj, because he was saying that we have different scriptures and it is not easy to understand what one scripture is saying and compare it with other scriptures. And many times many of the Western scholars have said that the Puranas are not accurate or things like that. So, and also for Vedic planetarium, we would need to defend our scriptures and justify what these numbers are, so that it's also a service to Parampara, saying that the Vedic scriptures are not contradictory, they are mutually harmonious to each other. And once we open the Vedic planetarium, people will ask definitely these kind of questions, because there are people who study Surya Siddhanta, they know what is there in it. There are people who will study Bhagavatam, so they'll definitely ask these kind of questions. And yeah, it's just that's the reason that's how we started. But in terms of liking it, once we initially it was very, very boring in that sense that we had to see what is there. Many times we only had like English translations of it. But when we started looking into each word that is there, what is the meaning, and trying to see what exactly is the scripture saying, then it became more and more interesting to us, because many times the commentaries by Western people or the Western people's translations were not accurate. They were not representing Surya Siddhanta correctly. They were not commenting on it correctly. So in that sense, it was becoming more interesting by doing it in little more depth. But it was just as part of the service that was assigned to us, not like something we enjoyed right from the beginning. So yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I have one more question if nobody has one. Can I ask Mataji?
Yeah, Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji.
Prabhuji, this is just because I want to connect to the speaker a little more closely, because I'm also from IIT Bombay, and I want to know, Prabhuji, what is your profession? What, with all that brain material that you have, what do you work on?
So I live in Rochester, Minnesota. I work as a scientist, staff scientist in Siemens Healthineers. And I also have an assistant professor role at Mayo Clinic in Rochester. So I am in Midwest, not very far from Chicago, but yeah.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah, and Prabhuji, what is your specific domain? What do you work on?
My research is in MRI, magnetic resonance imaging.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah, I mean, just, I wanted to connect a little more. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. You're such a big scholar. Very.
I am not, good to know that you are also from IIT Bombay. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, but, I'm not that way, the way you are. But it's nice to know that we have devotees up there and, studying so nice and performing so nicely in this world also. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. You really made my day,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. We have Sureshwar Prabhuji also, Swam Prabhuji also have some questions, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu. Thank you for explaining us some facts from Surya Siddhanta also. Prabhuji, one simple question I have. These the 7 islands, right? Sometimes I heard that they are the name after the name of sons of Priyavrata Maharaj, and sometimes it is mentioning they are named after the tree, like Jambu tree, or in Plushkara Deepa also there is one tree, So which is the right understanding, Prabhu?
In this case, in Krauncha Dvipa, it is mentioned here clearly. The name of the Dvipa came from a mountain that is there. But the 7 parts within that Dvipa are named after the sons. So wherever what is stated, we take that, correct? There is no additional.
But I think in second verse or something, right, Prabhu? In third verse, it was saying that islands are named after his sons.
Which verse you are saying about?
1 minute, Prabhu. I'm saying about from the verse, I think, yeah, here, Prabhu, from translation in second verse. Okay, here.
5.2. Can you tell the exact 5.20.2?
Yeah, Prabhu. Yeah. Okay. 5.20.2.
1 second.
It doesn't say it is named after the son of Priyavrata Maharaj, Prabhu. It says it is named after the tree only.
Yeah.
Okay. Somewhere I read.
Yeah, means the sons is there. Is the Krauncha Dvipa gets its name from the mountain Krauncha. The divisions within that are named after the sons of Priyavrata.
Oh.
So 20.20 says the ruler of this island was another son of Maharaj Priyavrata. So Krauncha Dvipa's ruler is son of Priyavrata. His name is Ghritaprishta. And he was a very learned scholar. He also divided his own island among his 7 sons. After dividing the island into 7 parts named according to the names of his sons, Ghritaprashta Maharaj completely retired from family life and took shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, the soul of all souls, who has all auspicious qualities. Thus he attained perfection. So this part is talking about within the Krauncha Dvipa, which is named after the Krauncha mountain. There are 7 parts, and these 7 are named after the sons.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. I had that some confusion there. Prabhu, can I ask one question about movement of sun?
Yes, Prabhu, please.
Yeah, because we were listening to Pavaneshwar Prabhu. So sun is going towards the what is that? The axis, towards the axis and away from axis because of the ropes that is being pulled by Dhruva Maharaj, right? From Vayu ropes. So when it is going towards and away, how can it stay on the circular path of Manasuttara mountain?
No, it's not always there on the top of Manasuttara. It's only one instance of time. So, it's on the southernmost time of Dakshinayana. So sun has 2 kinds of motion. One is the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. So that we can call it the westward motion or the daily motion. And then there is also Uttarayana Dakshinayana motion. Correct? So in Bhagavatam, we have the sthana, means position of the planets. The planet's sthana is not always same. It changes. So, and then the whole discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam, so sthana is one of the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the main focus of Surya Siddhanta is Gati. So Mayadanava is asking Sun God. He does at the end of this, in this Chaturyuga, at the end of Satyuga, when Satyuga was about to end, Mayadanava starts performing austerities to please Sun God. And then at the end of Satyuga, he gets the darshan of Sun God and he asks, can you explain Gati? Grahanam Gati means sthana is the position. Gati means change in position. Sthana is not always, planet's sthana is not, in Srimad Bhagavatam, we have a snapshot sthana, one position of the planets. But that sthana is not fixed. It changes. And the change in sthana is Gati. So one is the eastward, sun is moving east and west. So that is one motion, one Gati. Another Gati is Uttarayana Dakshinayana motion. Yes. Where we see sun going up and down. On the axis, Bhagavatam says it goes up and down. So when it comes down, the southernmost Dakshinayana motion, Ayana means movement, Dakshinayana means southern movement. So when it is in the southern movement and comes to the lowest point, that is where we are discussing about one position. So what is given in Srimad Bhagavatam is one particular sthana, one particular position. That doesn't mean that it is sun always will stay there. He will go up and down. When he is going up, he will come inside. So he will not stay on the same distance horizontally. So if there is a horizontal distance and there is vertical movement, correct? When it is going vertically up, it goes inward. So it will not stay on Mansotra mountain always. It is only one instance, one day of the year where it will be there on the Mansotra mountain. And in other Puranas, there are 180 tracks that are mentioned. Like in a year, we have 365.26 that are Earth days. But if you take sidereal solar days, like in a year, sun completes 360 degrees in the zodiac, correct? If you divide each degree into one day and call it a new day, that new day is sidereal solar day. So other Puranas say there are 180 tracks. So 360 by 2. So you go up, you go down. So same position, you are there twice. So 360 by 2, you have 180. So there are 180 tracks. Only one of these tracks is exactly above the Mansotra mountain. Other tracks are some away from it, because sun goes up and down and goes inward and outward.
Yeah, but in a general sense, we say the sun moves on the
approximately.
Yeah.
Approximately 1 day of the year. It's one sthana. It's one position, and it doesn't stay there always. Planets have sthana. Planets also have gati. Or grahas have sthana. Graha also have gati. So they change positions.
Thank you very much.
Is it okay, Prabhu?
Yes, very clear. Thank you, Prabhu. One question, Prabhu. How this movement of the sun is it's complex, right? It is not that, it's because it's having two motions, relative. It's rotating on the time wheel, or it's rotating circular fashion and up and down. So in the real world example, how do we relate and understand that, Prabhu? Like how that is happening?
So actually, sun is the easiest among all the planets to understand. If you give additional details that are given in Surya Siddhanta, there are additional details. Just like sun, other planets have also Uttarayana Dakshinayana motion. Moon's Uttarayana Dakshinayana is similar to sun, but other planets is much more complicated. So sun is the simplest. To understand means sun. How do we understand? One is the rising and setting of the sun. We see sun rising in the east, sets in the west. That is one motion we know, correct? And another motion is sun goes like you. If you see, maybe the sun is going this way, and then the sun. Another motion is the up and down motion, the latitude and longitude. For Earth, on Earth, each place has both the longitude and latitude, correct? So you know what is the longitude, and above the equator, what is the latitude. Similarly, for the grahas, you can assign a celestial longitude and a celestial latitude. You are muted, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I'm good, Prabhu.
Yeah. So one is the change in the longitude that you can notice. Another is the change in the latitude. So it's a celestial longitude, celestial latitude. So it's simple in that sense. Sun's motion is relatively simple.
Good, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you very much, Prabhu. Please give your association often, Prabhu, on this call. And this next, I think, 4 or 5 chapters are all related to the sthana.
You already got Pavaneshwar Prabhu, so he's the expert on these topics. So
he gave us a high-level comprehensive summary. So details, Prabhu, like this, like you reconciled, between Bhagavatam and Surya Siddhanta today. So like that, something like that, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Very nice, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. There is one more question. Would be able to time. Do you have time, Prabhu?
Yes, Mother. Yeah.
So, Anuradha Mataji, please go ahead, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. My question is not on today's topic, Prabhu, but in general, as you said, like Maharaj had asked you or instructed you, whichever. So Maharaj has so many books, Puranic cosmology, Vedic cosmology, commentary on the fifth with all the acharyas. So Prabhu, my thing is like, I'm talking from my point of view, like at the age where I am, I don't think I have so much time to understand all this and also understand Krishna from a transformational point of view, as in the transformation of the heart. It's like too much. But I was thinking, are you doing something for the next generation to pass it on? Like, maybe not a bigger scale, but at least those who are interested for the, maybe for kids who are interested, maybe the 10-year, 12-year, that age onwards, because they have the time and energy and the intelligence to understand it, to explain it to others, and still have enough time for their own sadhana, which is which is our prime thing. Am I able to explain what I'm asking, Prabhu?
So you're saying, is this work recorded somewhere for the...
Not exactly recorded, Prabhu, because recorded Maharaj also has a video, and Pavaneshwar Prabhu's, But what I'm saying is there a way when somebody is, working hard, like a who can teach the coming generation, the younger ones, these things? Do you have you understand, but do you have someone whom you sit and explain? A group of people who might be interested. Younger one, I'm saying, not even teens. So do you have any, like right now, do you have it in your plans where, I know Maharaj is so much interested in passing it on so that more and more can be researched and explained to the world, but is there a facility where you are thinking of passing it on to the younger generation, or rather in person explaining?
means I guess a lot of devotees are already doing it. Like a lot
No,
of
but
the,
see, if you say like for you are doing it yourself, Prabhu, right? But I'm talking about explaining it to others. Like I don't know if I should call it as a gurukul, because I'm talking about a particular, this specific, this cosmology. Like it's like a geography in itself, right? It's like a bhugola and the geographical knowledge, which what I was thinking by the time, like for us, it is so difficult to understand because we already had the understand of our academics. So, forgetting that and then understanding this Vedic cosmology is, at least talking for myself, is very difficult. But if the, younger generation, if those who are in ISKCON, especially the, ISKCON kids, if they start learning about it much younger, then they will understand like, okay, this is the real one, and that is we are studying for the academic purpose. So do you understand, Prabhu, what's my concern? It's much easier for them. Yeah.
So many devotees are actually, I also work with Pavaneshwar Prabhu. We have regular calls on this topic, mostly focused on Surya Siddhanta. We work together. But he also has an understanding of Bhagavatam and everything. And I think he actually travels a lot and presents at various temples, and he has given multiple, and like that, many other devotees are doing it. So,
So
personally, I am happy
yes.
if you want me to, if you have some kids
I
like
do,
this,
Prabhu.
if you have some group of kids whom you want me to explain, I'm happy to join and explain. But
Okay, Prabhu.
I think in general, the Vedic Planetarium will, the
Explain.
TOVP will have a dedicated group of devotees. There are already devotees dedicated to that. So they will definitely, they are already doing it. I think there are already lots of videos and lectures, and a lot of devotees are traveling and explaining. But if you personally, if you're asking me
Prabhu,
if I'm willing to come and explain, traveling,
maybe on
I
Zoom
just,
or anything. No, maybe not.
Zoom is the easiest one. Like this, if you want me to explain to some
Prabhu.
group
If
of
you are comfortable, you
younger
can share
generation
your
people, I'm
email
happy
ID, Prabhu. If you're comfortable, you can share your email ID. If you are comfortable, Prabhu, then maybe we can contact you.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So even though it was a short notice, you're giving a beautiful class and explaining the Surya Siddhanta and adding the commentaries from Acharyas and everybody, and enlightening us on this topic, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And
thank you for the opportunity. Sorry if I did any mistakes.
No, Prabhu. I'm trying to see. Do you still have any time, Prabhu? I don't know. Let me see if I have any comments in the chat box. And
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I
Hare
just
Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Dandavat Pranam. This is Vinita Gandharvika. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for coming on the call with the short notice. Very, very grateful to you. Thank you, Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you. Thank you. Yeah.
Hare Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I also wanted to say thank you for coming at on short notice. Your presentation was beautiful. Your slides are really lovely, and your enthusiasm is so nice to experience. And everything that you're doing is going to be carried for years into the future. You're doing such a valuable service for our parampara, and it's really just incredible. Like you said, clearing up those seemingly contradictions between Surya Siddhanta and Srimad Bhagavatam. It's really incredible, because this will go out into the for our sampradaya, and everyone will know, that there are no contradictions. Now they have the information that they need to show that they actually work together. So very valuable. I'm very happy to be in this class, and I hope, like Shraveshwar Sham Prabhuji said, we hope you come back and give us another class. So thank you.
Thank you for inviting, and thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. There are some questions in the chat box. Would you like me to read, Prabhu?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Mataji Laltangirada Mataji saying, thank you for your wonderful research service for the Parampara. Very grateful for your association, Prabhu. May we know how your Krishna conscious journey started. And
I guess these are not so important, but briefly means when I was studying in IIT Bombay, Gauranga Prabhu used to come there. There was Gaura Hari Prabhu, who is a faculty in IIT Bombay now. So that's how I was introduced to Krishna consciousness by the devotees. And Gaurang Prabhu used to come every week. At that time, he had more time. So he used to be there for 2 days and like that in a week. So we had lots of association of Gauranga Prabhu at that time. So by his mercy and
Beautiful.
yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. And Shivani Mataji, very, very nice class, Prabhu. Please give us a session more often. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you so much for wonderful class, Prabhuji. Please give your association often, Prabhuji. So, devotees, if you don't have any questions, we can pay our obeisances to Prabhuji and the call. Kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Gandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Grace Vamsi Prabhu ji ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Prabhuji.